Hello everybody. How's it going? I'm here with my cat Rhea. She invited herself on my table. Yeah, she's my assistant now. So yeah, have you finished the tasks from the exercise number 2? Has anybody done that? If somebody has some problem with that or something, you can always contact me on the CroCoder channel, CroCoder Slack channel. So yeah, so the kitten is distracting me now. Great. So for everybody else that have been like the last time, so yesterday, Danica was doing some CSS. Here is the complete solution, like deployed and published in the goodbye Ram, published in the on the web page, the Lockdown Learning web page. So yeah, let's start with today. So we have arrays. Yeah, maybe she'll come back. Now she's destroying things randomly. Great. So we've talked about basic types like strings and boolean and so on and objects. And arrays are not different than objects, but you can iterate through the arrays. So today we will talk about arrays and how to iterate, how to manipulate arrays, and so on. So today's agenda, first we will write an array, then we can see how to debug some stuff, because we will need to know how to debug if we want to debug for each map, filter, and reduce in the future. So debugger is a way to stop your script to be executed on your website. So okay, if you haven't done it already, you should go to the GitHub CroCoder Lockdown Learning, and you should download the repository here via the download zip or by pulling with git pull in your repository, your local repository. Oh, she's judging me now. Okay. So yeah, you will have a folder called forMapReduce, and it will have some arrays here. So let's just like remove it and let's try to write our own. So we already defined like an object called person, right? Or let's define it again. Yeah, so let's try to write here const person equals, let's say name it's David, surname equals Abram, and age is 30. So that's pretty good. Okay, but what if we need to define like 3 different persons? Like we can now start to write person 1 or person 2 equals so on. But what we can do actually is define an array. So it will be an array of persons in this example. So we can say people, the array of people, right? Persons. And we can write something like this. So this is how to define the array, and we can write like just names at the moment. Let's say David, John, Stephen. So this is the way we define an array. In the future I will show you why arrays are really useful, because we can do some manipulation, or we can iterate through it. So we can get all the values that are stored in here. So we will get David, then next time we'll get John, then the next Stephen, and so on, and we can automate that. Okay, but we can write the whole person in here, whole object, right? We can write something like this. So this is It's with the name David, with the surname Abram, and age 30. And after that we can go just like this and write another person. So it be name equals to John, surname equals to Smith, and age is 39. So I can write something like this. I will paste it so you'll be quicker about this. And let's try console log people. So you can see here that we have actually the same stuff inside this bracket. These brackets here, here, and here, with different values, of course. But it's all in this kind of brackets here. So it's inside of those brackets, and that's an array. So if we console log people, we should first like open the index.html here. So let's try and open this. So yeah, so what we can see here in our console, that some array is logged out. Just give me a second. I accidentally closed my YouTube and I can see your comments. Just give me a second that I come back this. Okay. Sorry about that. I accidentally closed my browser. So let's get back to our example. So if you see, we console logged our array, and you can see there are like two objects in there. You can see it says object here. So in array we have some object called on position 0 with name David, surname Abram, and age 30, and something on position 1 with name John, surname Smith, and age 39. So that's the way you can create arrays. And at first it doesn't seem so like important or useful at all, but there are different methods you can use to manipulate and like iterate the arrays. So we go back. So yeah, this is an example of array. It's a const food. You can actually use emojis in JavaScript, and it's similar to a character in there. So you can save a string of emojis in there, and you have a character with, I don't know, popcorns or so. So yeah, you define your food, popcorns, hamburgers, and eggs. Yeah. So what we can do with these arrays. First, what we can do, let me just open everything to see. Yep. So let's go one by one. So first is forEach. So the way to iterate through it. So you just can call here. So we have, let's delete everything here. We have defined people here. And what if we want to just console log like name of each person in this people array? So what we can do is call something called forEach. So people.forEach. So what we need to pass as an argument to this people forEach is actually a function. Similar as like on click, we need to pass a function here, and that function gets as a parameter and like something, an item from that array. So what we can do before here is write a function like log names. So it will get an item from this array. An item we can call person, and we can write here console log person.name. And we need to pass the reference to the forEach like log names. So what will happen here, like people will try, so this will iterate through people array. First, it will come to the first like item, or in this case a person with the name David, surname Abram, age 30. Then it will console log its person name, so it will David. Then it will iterate further, and then it will get a person with name John, surname Smith, age 39, and with console log person.name and with John. So let's try to do that. Let's see what will console log here. Okay, so it's David and John. And if you can see, they're in different, so they're logged in different rows. So that console log does like, it created two different console logs. So we can actually debug this. So that's why I told you about like something called debugger. So, but what debugger does, and we could write it like here, like debugger. So I will copy paste this in chat so it will be easier to hear you. So what does this debugger actually do? Okay. So you see that something happened here. It says here paused in debugger. Debugger paused, and you can see here the source script.js. I showed you the time before last or something like that. I showed you that you can see all the files that you need to download for viewing this website or HTML page. And what happens here, the debugger actually stops executing the execution of our JavaScript. So you will get everything like stops in time. So you can see everything that is like is called on stack. But you can see all the variables here. You can see like here this person is actually, you can see the person, like the value of a person, like it's an object with properties name, surname, age, and these values. You can see like in console that just David is logged and not like John or whatever his name that we passed as second person. So okay, so if you want to continue the execution of JavaScript, you actually need just to press this resume script execution here, or F8 in my on my browser, or you can step over the function call. So step over the next function call is actually okay. Give me the next statement, and this one is just resume execution, like the whole just start. So let's try resume script execution. Okay. What happened here? We are in a second iteration. So the name John, surname Smith, age 39. You can see it here. We actually console logged person name John. Let's double check that in console. Okay, it has logged it. And then we blocked the script execution with debugger. And what we can do is like resume the script, and you can see that David John is written out here. So this is very, very important. Like this is the best way to debug stuff in JavaScript. There are some tools that will give you like more leeway or some other features or so on, but this is just, you can write this without any problem. So are there any questions about that? Have you tried it on your computer? Because we will be using this like a lot today and in the future. If there is any question, just ping me. So yeah, we tried to so this is how forEach works. So actually what happens, it just iterates and calls this function for each item in this array. So we have two items and it goes like, okay, let's try with our examples here. So I've created some array with pizzas. So this is, of course, calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, margherita, and with their toppings. So each of that pizza, so calzone is made with tomato sauce, cheese, ham, and oregano, and margherita is made with tomato sauce, mozzarella, and basil, and frutti di mare is created with different like shellfish and so on. And there are also some comments. So there's some comments in here that some people that ate our pizza probably left. So I love pizza, why pineapple, and so on. So this is a really good question. I'm not a fan of Hawaiian pizza. So yeah. So what we'll do, we will actually go through the pizza array and try to console log different things and see what happens. So let me, So yeah, let's try do it with pizza. So let's comment out this part so it doesn't console logs here. And let's try to write something like this. And you can see that I can actually write the function right here. So I don't need to I don't need to write the function like before the forEach call. I can write it right inside these brackets. So I can write it like this. It's a little bit different, as you can see, because there is no name of the function, because these are like nameless function, or like you can there are different names of those, like lambdas. In the future I will show you how to make, but they're really like you can just write it inline, or you can create inline functions. There are a lot of different names because there is not really a prescribed name with that. So we can write in here console log pizza, and what will happen, we will go through each of our pizza up here and we'll just console log like everything we have in there. So let's try it. Okay, so I will just paste this for everybody. And you can see here that we have a pizza object with a name calzone and toppings, different toppings in here. Toppings is again another array here. So we have a Hawaiian pizza here, frutti di mare. So it's totally the same as the first one. What we've done here is actually just write an inline function here. We haven't defined before that function. We are just calling it here. So the problem with this type of writing, we cannot like call this function again in the future. So because it's not named, we don't have a reference to it. It just exists in this, like inside of these brackets. So, okay, fine. That's fine, okay. But what we actually have here, so the pizza item or the item from array is not the only thing that is passed via parameters here. So it's not the only argument that forEach sends to us. Actually, there are a few more here, so we can try them out. There is something called index. There is something called original array. So we can try and console log it and see what will happen, like index and original array. It's better for me to show it than to explain you in like really details. So you can see that the first parameter is just like an item, like from array. In this case, it's a pizza. Then there is a number. So index is actually like a number, like we are here is pizza on position 0 in that array, position 1. All arrays in programming starts with 0. It's not really usual that starts with 1, so remember that. And like, what's the third part? The third part is actually the whole array. So we have the sent into our parameter like a whole array. That's pretty useful. We'll see in the future that this is a pretty useful thing to have. So yeah, that's all different like parameters that we'll have here, and we can like do stuff with them. So what we can do, actually, let's try to do something, and that's I don't know, let's write out current pizza, the next pizza, like so. Let's try it. So what we can do here, we can write something like this. So console log pizza name. This we will get a current pizza. And what if we want to get like the next pizza? So what we can do is actually write something like this. So we can write out console log, and then we can call original array, and with this kind of brackets here, we can write actually index. So what will happen here? We'll actually get an item on the position, this position, like index position. It will be the first time we call it will be 0, the next one will be 1, the third one will be 2, and so on. And actually we can get everything from them. So name, toppings, we can call it because this is just a reference to our object. So if I call something like this, so console log pizza name and console log original array with that current index dot name, actually we will get like 2 same name logged. So we can try it. So what will happen here is we'll get calzone, calzone, Hawaiian, Hawaiian, frutti mare, frutti mare, and you can see like different lines in our script like call this console log. So what we can do actually is call name plus 1. How about that? We will get first pizza, I don't know, it was calzone, and next time we will get the next pizza. So we can say actually here, crazy, yeah, we can call it next pizza, and so what will happen here, we will console log pizza name, and then we console log this is the next pizza. So let's try that out. Calzone 1, what have I done? Oh, of course. I made a logical mistake here. So we need to increase the index, not the string. I actually concat 2 different strings. So it's calzone 1, Hawaiian 1, frutti di mare 1, margarita 1. Oh man. Yeah, that's a trap in JavaScript. Just so you know, I've said it like 1,000 times before, but this is really a problem. Like even if you try to do like high-level programming, this is still a problem. So there's an error in my before statement. It's actually this. So let's try to run it, and you'll see that there is an error, but it works like 3 or 4 times because the first is calzone, then its next pizza is Hawaiian, so it's Hawaiian currently. The next pizza is frutti di mare, and so on. When it comes to margarita, actually our index that we try to get is like index plus 1, and it's actually 4 plus 1, it's 5, and we have only 4 items in array. And if you let's try to call pizzas 5, actually we get undefined. So because there is only, we get number, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, but the problem is that non-existing like positions will get ours back undefined. So we can get like any item from array like this, but we need to know that if we call anything that's not like, we can call like 54 here, and we won't get anything out, we'll get undefined because in our array on position 54 there is nothing defined, so we get undefined. So we need to get we need to we actually need to be very careful about this. because this can get like really bad errors. So what we need to do is actually create an if else here. So if index plus 1 is bigger than the whole length of original array, we should write out like this is the last pizza, so there is no next pizza or something like that. And how do you get the length of whole array? It's kind of like you can just write it original array dot length. So what will happen here, we can compare if index plus 1 is larger than whole length of original array. And the length of original array is, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So if this is larger or equal, actually, if this is larger or equal, we cannot really print it because we'll get length 4, but we start an array with 0. So we have index 0, 1, 2, 3. And if you have index like 54 plus 1, that will be larger than original array.length. And you have index like 3 in here, we'll get 4 that's larger or equal to the original array.length. So we need to have here like something this, there is no next pizza. So let's try to run this, and then we'll go back and comment a little bit more to see what's happening here. We'll try to debug this. Like, no worries. Oh, I don't know. I didn't delete this. So let's try to rerun everything. So it's say calzone, and next pizza is Hawaiian. Then current pizza will be Hawaiian. Next pizza will be frutti di mare. Frutti di mare then becomes current. Then next pizza is margherita. Then current is margherita, and there is no next pizza, right? Because there is only 4 items in our array, or 4 pizzas in our pizza. Okay, let's try and call debugger somewhere. Let's try it before everything, call the debugger. And let's try to see what's happening here, so everything will be more clearer than me just telling you this is how you do this part of code. So let's try an F5. So let me just like increase the size of everything here. Yeah, let's see. So we are calling pizza forEach, and we called the function, the inline function. And the first pizza here has properties name and toppings. So calzone and array 4. You remember there are 4 toppings in there. And there is index and original array. So index is like position in array, and original array is whole array pasted here. So we can call now, if you go back here, we can go like line by line. So let's go to next line. So here you can see if I like highlight here, maybe you don't see it. I cannot really increase this anymore. So you can see it says here calzone. So pizza, you can see the object here, and name is calzone. You can always like see like console and everything inside. It's pretty cool to like see everything what happens here. And we can see that index, so we can go next line. And we can see that index is like 0, plus 1 will be 1. Original array.length is 4. So you can see that if you go next line, it actually skips this line and goes to else, because index plus 1 will be 1 and original array length will be 4. So at this moment, like index plus 1 is not larger or equal to array.length. And you can see here that we get the array, index plus 1 becomes 1. So we will get the Hawaiian, and we will call .name, and we actually, can I see the name? I can't see the name, really strange. But actually we will get the name Hawaiian, console log, and we can go like next line. And you can see in console that things that we return out are calzone, and next pizza is Hawaiian. Okay, and we could go like just resume script execution, and we will get this is the second pizza. The second pizza has index 1, and so on. And we can actually like skip next pizza because we need that margarita. So the margarita is the last. It's the last item in our array. Its index is 3. And you can see here that if we go next line, we will get pizza name is margarita. And if you go next line, you can see here that index is 3 plus 1 is 4. Original array length is 4. And if we call array with 4, we will get like there is non-existent, like there is no fifth item. So index 4 means it's fifth item, and there is no fifth item in array. It's a little bit confusing at first, but you will see that actually starting at 0 is much better. You just need to go through that. Okay, and if we have index plus 1 is like bigger or equal to original array length, it should say there is no next pizza. So let's try to see. It goes to this line, and we can like continue, and you can see everything's printed out here. So don't worry if you don't get it at this point. We will run this a lot of time. We need just a little bit more practice, a little bit more get used to it. And Rhea is sleeping now alone, further away from me. I will bring her during the questions and answers, so you can ask some questions to Rhea also. Okay. So we tried to do some forEach stuff. Let's try and see what is map, filter, and reduce, and why it's really important. So forEach, what it does is actually just iterate through it. So it doesn't like changes or creates a new array or manipulates it anyway. You can just like print out stuff. You can try and calculate something, but it's actually, you can see there are some problems with calculation with forEach. I will show you in the future. But actually map, filter, and reduce does everything that we need to do for manipulating arrays or objects. So if you understand map, reduce, and filter, you actually know how to transform any data in JavaScript to anything else you want. So it's pretty important, because like a lot of like senior developers don't know how to use map, reduce, and filter properly. And I think that's like the most important thing in JavaScript to get used to and to use like very often, right? Like anything you need to manipulate or change, you need to use map and filter and reduce. It's the fastest way, it's the best way to use it. At least it's my opinion. So this is our array. And let's try to understand like map, filter, and reduce. And we will try to understand it with some more emojis. So I haven't made this actually. That was made by a guy on Twitter. Actually, I don't have his tweet open at the moment. I will show you like maybe later. But what this says. So imagine that map is actually a way to transform each item in the array. So you can see here that transforming each item in the array could be cook, right? Because we have corn, cow, or like beef, and we have chicken, and when it cooks we get popcorns, burgers, and like eggs. Actually, there is no egg emoji, so yeah. So when we cook, we actually transform each item separately, and we create a new array that has a transformation applied to it. Maybe I can copy paste this so you can try it in your own let me give me a second. Yeah. Try to copy paste this in your own IDE or Visual Studio Code, and you will see that you can actually, this is kind of the code that works if you define like cook is vegetarian and eat. It's just the code. So yeah, so map transforms each item separately and then creates an array of these this new transformed array. What filter does is actually it creates a new array of only items that responds truthfully to this to this function here. So is popcorn vegetarian? Yes, and it will be in a new item in the new array. Is burger vegetarian? No, it's not, so it won't be in this new array. If are eggs vegetarian? Yes, they are, and they will be in the new array. And reduce, you can see reduce that what reduce does is it iterates through all the items and transforms all the item and combines somehow together it. So the function eat actually transforms popcorn and eggs into a poop emoji. You will see an example. I wouldn't try for you to try reducing it this way at this moment. So reduce actually, what you can do to reduce, let's say you can add all the numbers in an array. If there is an array of numbers like 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can add them together and you will get some result in there. If there is an array, I don't know, of pizzas and you will get like all the toppings, you can create result like a giant string of all toppings in there, or string of names in there. But it actually transforms everything that we have into a singular variable, and you will see in the future everything that like reduce can do. If you want, I will send you in Slack the picture of this, so you don't need to like crop it or screenshot it. Yeah, let's try and start with map, and then so the map is the first thing, the way of cooking. So we will transform each thing in our array into something else. So let's try first with map. So let's say if we want to get pizza names. So we can create a function called get pizza names. It gets a pizza. It's similar to forEach, just go with it. And actually it doesn't console logs. Now what we need to do is return pizza.name. And to call something on array, we need to call pizzas map and then pass the get pizza names. To get the result from our map function, we actually need to write, we need to define a new variable. So pizza names equals to pizzas.map to get pizza. So this is a bit different than forEach. forEach just iterates and you can do something inside these brackets here. But what map does is actually it returns some values back to our variable here. So what will happen here, we will get the first pizza here and it will return pizza.name. So we'll return calzone. Next, there will be, I don't know, margherita or Hawaiian or frutti di mare. And actually this pizza name will be a new array of just pizza names. So map transforms in some way our pizza objects and creates actually an array of strings. So let's try to console log pizza name, pizza names, okay. And let's try to see what will happen here. I will just console log, I will just comment this so it doesn't like print like multiple times or something like that. Let's refresh here, and what will happen? We got a new array with values calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, and margherita. And we got that from our array that has objects inside of them with name property and toppings property. So it transformed it. Let's try to call our debugger here. So before return, we should call debugger. I will paste this in chat so you can copy paste it. Why I'm copy pasting everything into chat? It's just because we have a lot of things to do here. So I really want you guys to get to do this quickly and try copy pasting things, because we will have big exercise this Saturday, and we will do a lot of mapping, reducing, and filtering in there, just so you know. So let's F5. So what happens here, actually it's the same way as iterating with forEach, but we are not console logging, we are actually returning some value. So you can see here we have a pizza object calzone with property name calzone and property toppings array of 4. I'm not sure, I don't know by heart what are the toppings, but what we are getting, we can continue, is okay. Now it's a Hawaiian, and you can see that pizza name is Hawaiian. Then you can see it's frutti di mare, and then you can see it's margherita. So when we step over next function, again step over the function, again, okay. What we got here in pizza names is actually an array of 4 different strings, actually the names of our pizza. So calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, and margherita. And if we continue, we actually console log everything out. So map is actually just transforming one array to another array, but transforming in that way that you call the function that you pass into map on each item. So let's do something else. Let's at the moment like comment out the debugger, and we can write here, actually I want a so let's try and call this. So I want a calzone, I want a Hawaiian, I want a frutti di mare, I want a maybe add pizza. Okay, let's try something like this. If we refresh this, so what will happen? I want calzone pizza, I want a Hawaiian pizza, I want a frutti di mare pizza, I want a margherita pizza. So you can see here that actually we can do any transformation we want. We actually don't need to return a string. We can return, I don't know, we can return like a, let's say, topping length in here. So how many toppings each pizza has? So we can write another function. So let's write here, function get number of toppings. So we pass pizza. So we call it like there, const number of toppings equals pizzas dot map get number of toppings, console log number of toppings. And what we can return here is actually return pizza toppings dot length. I will paste this again into chat. So what will happen here, we'll go to each pizza and return just the length of the topping. So we'll get an array of numbers, like each pizza, like how many toppings it has. So let's try to refresh everything. And you can see the first one is I want calzone pizza, I want Hawaiian pizza, I want frutti di mare pizza. And next one is like 4, 3, 5, 3. And these are just number of our toppings. So what happened here, it's the same stuff that we done before, but we have transformed here a value of property into another string. Here we actually just return the length of toppings array, and actually like how many toppings does our pizza have. Okay, if there's any questions, just interrupt me at any point and I will explain in more details. So the same thing as our thing with forEach works. We can get in this map part, we can write it out here. Okay, we can get index and we can get original array. It's the same like parameters that and for each function needs to have. Same step. And I can write it here, I don't know, we can write like return, we can add here index, we can try to print it out, and you can see there's like 0, I want calzone pizza, 1, I want a Hawaiian pizza, 2, I want a frutti di mare pizza, and 3, I want a margherita pizza. The same thing goes, so it's totally the same as for each parameters. So yeah, you can see here, and also original array is again array that we're calling a map. So yeah, this does transformation, it returns a new array. For each just iterates through our whole array and calls a function upon on each item. So it's a little bit different, and we'll see in the future why it's important to use map and not just for each. But we need to try to do something else, and that's our filter. So let's try to create simple filter function. So let's create something, I don't know, called values. And it's a value array that has 10, 20, 30, and 40 inside of it. Don't forget our commas. Okay. And what we want to do is similar thing as we called map. We want to call filter on it. But filter, what it requires is that we return true or false inside of it. So it doesn't need for us to return a value, a string value or number value or an object or an array. It needs us to return true or false. And after it returns true or false, it actually, if it's true, it will include this item in our new array, or if it's false, it will remove or not include this item in our new array. So what we can do here is write out a function. Let's say function, I don't know, is larger than 25. So same thing, we can pass here, let's say value. So what we need to have to do here is to return a truthful value here. So let's say is value larger than 25. So what will happen here, first it will get 10, it will see is 10 larger than 25, so this value will become 10. 10 is not larger than 25, it will return false. For 20, it will return false. For 30, it will return false. For 30, it will return true, and for 40, it will return true. So let's try to call this, and of course, it returns the value in a new array. So values, it's larger, it's kind of bigger, right? But okay, let's say values larger than 25, and let's console log it. After that, we will debug it. Paste again, Let's try to call this part. Let's just comment everything so we don't get a lot of console logs in here. So we will call just this. We will create values. We will create a function is larger than 25, where if value is larger than 25, it returns true. If not, it returns false. And let's try filter these values. So let's write F5. We'll get a new array only with 30 and 40 because 30 and 40 are larger than 25 in our array. Larger values than 25. We can call, let's say, debugger here. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so you can see here that value is 10. If you go next line, we can see that value is 10 and this is 25. So 10 is not 25 and actually it returned false. You can see the value here, but you can see it goes 20, then 30, then 40, and then returns everything. And you can see this is our new array. So map is transformation of every item. Filter is filtering through the whole array. So it see if that function returns true or false for our array. And then it filters based on that. Yeah, so filter is pretty much easy. You just need to return true or false. We'll do a lot of different transformations with filter. So a lot of filtering and a lot of mapping. But the most important one is our reduce. And reduce is the most confusing one. So let's like try to stop. So are there any questions? So this is a good time for us to stop a little bit and go through again through filtering or mapping if it's needed. So I'll just ask. Reduce is the most confusing, so let's get like filtering and mapping under our belt first. Yeah, Rea is sleeping. Like she's on the other chair there. So yeah. And also we'll see in the future how to use map, filter, and reduce. Like we combine them and get some results in there. So one transformation algorithm, it's called map reduce. It's used in data science and in computer science. And this is actually that algorithm. We don't implement this algorithm here, but we use it for filtering, transformation, from getting new values, and so on. So I don't see any questions. So, okay, great. Thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate your feedback. So thank you, Terrell. Okay, so let's actually try. So I will comment this out. I would actually copy paste it like here. So we have values like last here. Let's try to add each number in this array. And we know how to do it with forEach. So let's try to do that. So what we can do here is values for each function value. We can actually do something plus. Actually, what we can do is actually define here let total equals 0, and then call total equals total plus value, and we can console log total. Okay, so let's try something like this. So this is okay way. It's totally fine to calculate something like this. It actually, if we run this, we will refresh everything. we will get actually 100, like 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 is actually 100. But this is not the optimal way. And the problem here is we have a global value here. What we want to do is actually get a return from some function here, maybe a reduce function, or maybe a reduce call, and we get an end result here. So this is really bad because we can do some nasty stuff, and I told you last time that calling like inside the function of a global value or a value like that outside these brackets is really bad. And I don't have an example right now to show you why it's really bad, because I need to show you a little bit more of programming, but it's really it's oftenly like mistaken, and there are often logic mistakes with this way of doing this. And the better way of doing this is actually calling reduce. So let's say not const but total equals values dot reduce. And of course, same thing, it gets a function in here, and we need to do something like with this. So this function that we need to pass to our reduce is a little bit different than for each map and filter, because it actually gets the first argument called total, and or in this, if you see this, it says previous value, but let's say total in this here and value the next. So okay, let's try for now just console log here total and value, so we can see what happens in this reduce. Let's try to do it. It's a little bit strange. It went only 3 times through our value array, and there is actually 4, because this one total gets 10, 20, then undefined 30, undefined 40. Why is that? Let's try, I don't know, let's try return total here. Remember, we need to return some value. Let's see what will happen now. We will get 10, 20, 10, 30, 10, 40. So for some reason I reduce things that our total is 10, but actually that's our first thing in there. What we've done, actually, we forgot to write here something, and that's 0. Okay, I know this is a far-fetched, but let's try to do it like this. So what reduce does is actually it takes oh, does my camera works? Okay. What reduce does, it actually wants initial value here to be written after the function. So let me write this a little bit better. So function add numbers. So actually is total and value here, and it has something like that. It's called refactoring. So let's refactor a little bit. So we can call here add numbers 0. So what reduce wants is actually some initial value here. So that initial value we will get at this. So the initial value will be passed here as this parameter here. If we like delete this, or we say undefined, we will actually get our first value in our array passed to this one, and then we'll skip first value and go to the second value in this the second item in our array and pass to this value, this parameter value. Just remember to pass always after the function, our initial value to the reduce. It seems far-fetched, but okay, let's try to do something like that. Return total plus value, and let's see what will happen here. So let's F5. You can see that actually what happens. Our total value or initial value here is 0. We are trying to add 10. Then our total will be 10. We want to add 20. Our total will be 30. We want to add 30. Our total will be 60. We try to add 40. And what will happen in the end, our total, let's console log again total, and let's try to comment out this. So let's try to rerun this again. So our total is 100. Actually, let's try to call debugger, so we will see what happens here. So we pass some initial value here. Our initial value is 0. Our 0 is passed to our first parameter. Our first parameter is called total in this example. So we get total equals 0, values equal 10. So we will return total plus value. 10 plus 0 is actually 10. And our new total becomes 10. Value is 20. We will return 10 plus 20, so 30. Our new total is 30. Our next item in array is value is 30, is actually same, 30, 30. We will return 30 plus 30 and we'll get 60. So our next total is 60. Value is 40. Our fourth item in array is 40. And we get 100. And it console logged like 0, 10, 10, 20, 30, 30, 60, 40, and 100. So, okay. So this is what reduce does. It actually like combines, it gets what we defined as initial value or what we returned to its first parameter, and it gets next item in our array as the second parameter. So this is just example with numbers. Okay, it's a little bit more difficult than map and filter to understand. Let's try to do with something else what we can do. Okay, let's try to get a string of all pizzas that we have in our shop. So let's try to comment out this. And let's try to create a giant string, something like we have calzone, something, 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 a string like this. So let's try to write const, like maybe this is like all pizzas is equal to pizzas dot reduce something. Let us take a look at our pizza array. So it has two properties, name and toppings, and we want to say we have calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, and margherita. My Italian is slipping out. Okay. What we need to do is pass a function here. Okay, let's try to write it out. So function, let's say get all names, maybe call it like this, and we'll have something that's called total, or maybe we call it result or something like that. You can call parameters whatever you want. You just need to keep in mind that first argument becomes the first argument when it's called becomes the first parameter. The second argument creates a second parameter. You can call it anytime anything you want. So we'll get something like this here. So let's try to console log everything first. to see what will happen here. And we can call getAllNames and maybe pass like empty string, or let's say empty string at this moment, just to see this example. So I will paste this. Let's try to call this and see what's happening. Okay, so you can see that our first, it's an empty string. You cannot see it here, but it is here. So our second is name calzone toppings array. So it's an object. We got undefined here, our result, but the second parameter is an object, and again. So we are iterating through all our pizzas. So that's a good sign. What we can do here is actually return. Let's try to return result plus pizza. Let's see what will happen here. So we can also like console log like all pizzas to see our result at the end. Oh, sorry. We need to, again, the errors with concatenating and adding stuff. So we need to call pizza.name, because pizza.name is actually a string, and when we try to add pizza, it gets really, we try to get an object or pizza in this example, we get like funky result like this. So let's try. Okay. So what we get here, first we will get the result is an empty array, then it's calzone, then it's calzone Hawaiian, then it's calzone Hawaiian frutti di mare, and in the end it's calzone Hawaiian frutti di mare margherita. It's just everything, like we just concatenated a long string. So what we need to do here is to create something a little bit nicer. Let's try it like that. Let's try to write it out. I don't know. Maybe we have these pizzas. I'm changing the initial like string to be like nicer string. So we will get this as a result. We get the initial string as a result on our first iteration here. And what we can do here is actually maybe create, oh man, okay. We can create here our concat string and something like this, and don't say we result, but we will get, I know, something like that. So we have these pizzas. So we will call calzone, so on. Let's try to write this out and space here. Let's see what will happen with this one. I'm just trying to create a nicer string so you understand what's happening here. Let's F5 again. So at the end we have these pizzas, calzone, comma, Hawaiian, comma, frutti di mare, comma, margherita, comma. Okay, this is pretty much okay. So it's fine, yeah. But let's see. Let's try to let's debug actually, not console log. I just changed. Sorry, I just added debugger here in this function to see like on each iteration what's happening inside of this. So on the first iteration, the result is initial value here, and our first pizza is calzone. And what will happen here, we will add, let's go to the next line. Our result is we have these pizzas, and pizza name is actually calzone. And in next time we call this function, it will be, we have this pizza calzone, comma, and then we will add pizza name that is Hawaiian. And let's continue to do this and go to the last. So you can see we have these pizzas, calzone, comma, Hawaiian, comma, frutti di mare, comma, and pizza name is margherita. Yeah. So you can see this is our result here. Again, we can get index and we can get original array here. So if you are like me and you don't like this last comma here, and you want it to be an exclamation point or something like this, we can actually get the index and original array the same way we were getting like before in filter and map, and do some more transformation in here. What we can actually write here is if index index is, let me think a little bit, index plus 1 is greater or equal to original array dot length, the same thing we wrote before. That means that actually this is the last pizza, so there is no next pizza. This says if index plus 1 is larger or equal to original array dot length, that means that there is no next pizza. And what we can do here is actually write return, maybe a little bit copy pasting here, and we can actually have an exclamation point here. So what we can do here is else we return something else. So what will happen here, for every item that is like not last, it will return this, and for last item in array, it will return this. So what will happen if we try to run this? I'll paste this in chat. Ooh, it's too big. Okay, I will just. What will happen here? We have these pizzas: calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, margherita. Maybe add and here. So become this, ooh, and then there is now, oh man, there is still an comma here. Okay, we'll go to next example. But we have these pizzas: calzone, Hawaiian, frutti di mare, and margherita. So let's try to do something like this, something else. Let's try and get average number of toppings of our all pizzas. Let's try to do that. Let's try to write a few functions. So first one is actually, we need to get numbers of toppings. So we will first map, then reduce. So with map, we will get numbers of toppings for each our item, for each our pizza, and then we reduce to get like the average number of our toppings on pizzas. So let's try to write it. So what we'll need to do, const average number of toppings is equal actually pizzas dot map, then don't reduce. You can call stuff like this without any problem. So what will happen here, we will get pizza, we'll call map on pizza array, and then we'll call reduce on our transformed or transform array that we get after we call map. So this is just like a pipeline. You can imagine like a pipeline. We first map it, then we reduce it. So let's try to write it out. First, we need to get for each item in array numbers of toppings. We wrote that like somewhere like before, like get number of toppings. Okay, we commented out, but let's rewrite it. So it's pizza. And actually, we need to return here pizza.toppings.length. So what we'll get after recalling this map, like this, we will actually get an array of amount of toppings each our pizza in array has. So it will be, I don't know, let's check it out here. It will be here 4, then 3, then 5, then 3. So that will be our array. So after we call map, let's try to write it out. We will actually get 4, then 3, then 5, then 3 in here. And after that, we actually want to like sum all these numbers, then divide them by number of numbers in this array. So we'll get the average number of toppings on our pizza. So let's try to write a function here. So I don't know how to call average or calculate. We get our result and we get some value here. Let's say it like that. So what we need to do is actually return result plus value divided by the length of our array, right? And we can get it here. We can get index here, and then we can get the original array. So divided by the length of our original array. So our length will be 4, and we will divide like 4 by 4, then we'll get 0 plus 1 will be 1, then 3 by 4, and so on. We can try to console log it, so, or debugger, maybe better calling debugger here. So we need to call calculate average and 0. So in our initial value will be 0. So I will call debugger again here, so we can go step by step in this function to see what happens here. Again, this is too big for me to paste, so let me delete something. Let me copy paste one by one here. So let's debug this and see what's happening here. Okay, as you can see, we started with map. So our first pizza is calzone with 4 toppings. And you can see here that pizza.toppings.length is 4. If we go like, go to the next, we are still calling the map function. You can see it here. So the pizza toppings.length will be 3. So 4, 3. Then after that, number of toppings will be 5. So this will be 5. Okay. Then it's 3. And then we will get to the reduce function. You can see here that our result is 0. So the first initial value will be 0. Value will be 4. And our original array is hidden here. Can I like increase somewhere or let's do something? Okay, it doesn't matter. It's 4353. We can see it here. That is 4353, the result, result of map. And we try to add 0, and then we will calculate this. So value divided by original array length, and actually value is 4, right? And the original array length is 4, so it will result plus 1. The next one will be what, 0.75. Let's try to see what this is length. Value divided by 4, 0, so and so on and so on. And actually our result here, so let's call, we haven't console logged it, so it's 3.75. What I have actually done is divided every number in our array with total length of our number of pizzas, because it will be, we mapped number of toppings and we have 4 pizzas in there. So 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3 divided by 4 is actually 3.75. So we actually done here is calculated the number of, like, average number of our toppings per pizza. So every time we serve a pizza, we actually serve on average 3.75 toppings. It's not really useful, but at least is an example when you need to use map and reduce. What we can do here is actually take a filter in here. So what we can do is actually create a filter function called, or a function that we will call via filter, and we can call it has cheese. Actually, what we can do here is filter our data, so we return only pizzas that have cheese in their toppings. That's pretty important if you're really a cheese lover. It's really important. So what we can do here is try to return pizza where toppings dot includes cheese. So topping is an array, and we can test, does the toppings array includes cheese? So this is a way you can write out your, here you go, that you can test if something includes cheese. We can like console log a quick, I don't know, pizzas dot filter has cheese. Let's remove this debugger just so we can speed up everything. So this console log should write out two objects, and first one will be, I don't know, calzone, and the second one will be Hawaiian, I think. Let's try and console log it to see what will happen here. Okay, we filtered our array of 4 pizzas to 2 pizzas because only calzone and Hawaiian has cheese. Actually, Margherita has, I think, mozzarella on here. And if you are Italian, you will know that mozzarella and like random cheese is different on pizza. So yeah, I'm a bit snobbish about pizzas. So okay. So we actually filtered our pizzas that have cheese here. So what we can do is actually calculate something like this: average number of toppings on cheese pizzas. Is a long variable, it's just an example. Don't crucify me because this is just too long, but it explains a lot. So what we can do here is actually call pizzas, filter all pizzas that have cheese, then map everything to get the number of toppings, then reduce everything to calculate average with initial value of 0. So what will happen here, we will actually call, we'll actually console log this giant variable. So the similar thing as we map reduce up here, we actually can add filter in here. So we can call filter, then map, then reduce. And this is like the right way of like pipelining everything. So first we always need call filter to filter everything, then map, then reduce everything in here. So okay, let's try to see what is space here. Okay, you can see those are 2 different console logs. Our average, like average number of toppings on our total pizzas are 3.75, and our cheese pizzas are 3.5. We can like we can see, let us see here. So we have calzone and Hawaiian that have cheese. So 4 plus 3 divided by 2 is 3.5. So I will paste this again. So you can see here that we can like create a giant pipeline of our filter map and use. So what you can do, you can use like multiple maps and multiple reduces in the same statement to create some crazy calculations in there. So actually with filtering, mapping, and reducing, you can do any transformation of data in JavaScript. And this is really important because there are a lot of different libraries and like outside code that you can use to do these transformations. But like the filter, map, reduce can do anything any other library can do. This is really, really important stuff, and I've met a lot of like normal developers or senior developers with like 5+ years of experience that don't understand filtering, mapping, and reducing at all. And this is really a shame because you can do everything here. So hit me with questions, guys. We have like 4 more minutes, and if you have any questions in here, or if you want to show me your tasks from the last exercise, or if you need help with that, just ping me and I will get back to you after this stream. And yeah, let me get Rea so we can ask Rea also questions. So, hello. Rea? Okay. Any questions, guys? I'll just open our Slack channel so I can see what's going on in there. Oh, I have awoken you before time. I have some disagreement about mozzarella in Slack channel. So of course I set on my mouse. Where else to set? So yeah, so you can actually return with reduce an array, or you can return an object. Let's do it like this. Map and filter always return an array. Reduce can return anything. In these examples, it returned a single value, like a basic type value, like a number or a string. But actually, reduce can return anything. But the important thing is that map and filter returns always an array. So thank you for the question. Actually, I have 2 cats. This girl is called Rea, and I have Thor, the other cat. And Thor is, I don't know, he likes to hide around the house, so I wasn't able to find him. But Rea likes to sleep on our tables while we work. No, she's asleep. She won't answer any questions. So, no more questions, guys? So again, if you finish any tasks from our last exercise, or you have some questions about them, don't hesitate to ask me. So it's not a really big deal for me to give you half an hour of my time and go through your problems or your results. I would really like to post that results like online, on our lockdown. So what I can do, I will paste the link in the chat. I can like deploy your solution here so everybody can see like what's the difference from my solution and your solution and so on. I would really advise you to try and solve that exercises, because you will get new exercises and new tasks this weekend. Oh, Rea is very sleepy. Okay, guys, if there are no more questions or some things like that, you can always get me on Slack channel or email me, and I can try to contact you and solve some issues, or just to see if your boring table or change, how it's called. Let me get back. No, this was exercise 2. Yeah, change image. How you solve the change image, or how you change the boring table. Oh, hello. Hello there. Say bye to guys. See ya, guys. See ya on Thursday. Yeah. See ya.